I get out the shower, and as I'm getting out the shower, he's coming in my bathroom door. He has one slipper on. He looks like he's high off of or whatever, and he has a in his hand. I immediately start screaming. His words were and he said that repeatedly. He started shooting my friend Will, and he shot me in my knee, and I remember I dropped to the ground. He actually shot me 4 times, but I didn't. The initial gunfire was to my knee. That's the only thing that I felt. So,
before we begin, we want to acknowledge that today's episode will include discussions about domestic violence, gun violence, and trauma. Some of the topics we cover may be distressing or triggering for listeners who have experienced similar situations. If you need to, please take care of yourself. Pause the episode, step away, or reach out for support if needed. We encourage anyone in need of help to seek resources like National Domestic Violence Hotline at 800-799-7233 or visit thehotline.org. You are not alone, and support is available.
Hey, everyone, and welcome back to How the F Is This a Podcast. I'm your host, Doc G.
And I'm Krista Renee.
Yes, and today we have Cerlisa Collins. She will be our guest. Cerlisa Collins is a 27-year-old entrepreneur and graduate from Old Dominion University with a bachelor's in science and criminal justice. Following a series of traumatic events in her life, including the death of her parents, the murder of her friend, and attempted murder on her own life, Cerlisa lives out of her purpose by educating women to help them avoid the pitfalls of intimate partner violence. She shares the experiences that have shaped her and the strategies that have helped her make it through. She is the owner of Women See Women, a startup digital communications company designed to provide intimate partner violence, education, and support. She is also the author of I Will Survive, a biography of her survival of attempted murder. Everybody let's welcome Cerlisa. I'm sorry, I keep Cerlisa Collins. Let's welcome Cerlisa Collins.
thank
So,
you.
before today's episode, it can be heavy. This is a heavy discussion, but I want to start off today's episode with really just finding out where everybody's headspace is today. So, typically what I do with, some of my friends is we call it the high five. And on a scale from the scale from 1 through 5, we identify where you fall at and how you're feeling today. So 1 being you're feeling your worst and 5 being you feeling your best. Where would you rate yourself today?
I would say I'm a good 4 or 5.
All right.
I'm good.
We
I'm
good.
good.
Where you at today, Crystal?
I would say the same. I'm like a 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Where are you?
We there. We all 4s and 5s. We're doing good. We're
Right.
doing good. So that's good. That's good to know though, because that will help us to understand how we can kind of navigate this conversation.
Right.
Because we want everybody to feel comfortable
Right.
within this. So I want to start with where you're at today. You have your recent book that you came out with, I Will Survive. Let's talk about that.
So yes, I published this book October of 2021. No, 2022. No, 2021. I get the dates mixed up. Basically, like a couple months after my situation happened.
Okay.
Yes.
So how has that book been going for you?
It's been great sales. A lot of people have read my book and reached out to me. A lot of good reviews on Amazon. Like I said, people read my book and send me messages on Facebook, Instagram, just expressing their love and support and, how my book has, opened their eyes to so much and opened their eyes to like what they've gone through, but they just were, too scared to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you graduated from Old Dominion University when?
Yes, I graduated from ODU in 2022.
2022.
Yes,
Okay.
December of 2022.
So now right now, from my understanding, you're doing a little bit more speaking engagements.
Yes.
And tell me a little bit what's
So
going on
I
with
just
that.
recently moved to Atlanta about a year ago, just for new beginnings, fresh start. And I started connecting with people, speaking at churches, speaking at conferences and different events, and just trying to get plugged in and to be able to share my story and my book and my testimony.
That's awesome.
I,
That's awesome.
I have a question because,
Yes.
writing a book is not an easy thing.
Listen, it's tough. Like you literally are reliving the moment as you're
Yeah.
writing it.
Yeah. How did it feel once you were completed with that?
A big relief.
Yeah.
A big relief.
Yeah.
I was very happy. Even to this day, sometimes I still can't believe that I actually wrote a book. Like I
Yeah.
Yeah.
actually wrote like I put all this in paper and people are reading it. People are
Yeah.
understanding it. Like people they want to know more, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
It felt amazing though.
That's
That's
good.
awesome.
Yeah.
What share, if you can, share some feedback that you may have received.
As far as feedback, like I said, people just pour out to me like how, I've gone through the same thing, but I was always scared to say anything or like they'll say, you don't look like what you've been through. Like I would have never thought that all the traumatic, horrific events that you endured, that, you'll still have a smile on your face today. And I get that a lot, a
Yeah.
lot of people will ask me like, are you okay? Like you don't look like, people basically think I should be in a crack house, after
Yeah.
all of the things that I've endured. Like, at my job, like a customer walked up to me one time and was like, what happened to your neck? Did you get burned? And I said, no, someone stabbed me in my neck. And they literally fell to their knees in tears.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that one to just walk up to somebody and ask that type of question and think it's
Listen.
appropriate.
I know. People just be like
It's
saying
crazy.
whatever sometimes.
You'll be surprised.
Yeah.
You will be surprised.
But yeah, it sounds like you said you lost your both of your parents.
Yeah, so my dad died in 2019 and my mom died July of 2021, so 3 months after my incident.
Yeah, I know that can be tough. So what does
tough.
support look like for you right now?
Support looks like therapy, a lot of therapy, a lot of therapy. God, of course, and just, my supportive friends and my family, a couple of my family members. But also, digging deep into, my healing journey and, trying to grieve the process of, like everything that has happened within the last 5 years from like losing my dad to my situation, then 3 months later losing my mom.
Yeah.
But it's a process. It's a process, but it's coming along. Some days are better than others, but I'm thankful to still be here.
Yeah, and we're thankful for you to
Yes.
be here too. I know, Crystal, that was like one of the first things she said to you when we had our
Absolutely.
initial call with you. Like,
Yes.
first off, thank you for, I'm thankful for you being here.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's dive in a little bit about your relationship. Like, how did your relationship start? How old were you?
So I was 21 when I met my abuser, and it started off good. First 3 months were butterflies, and you know how that is, butterfly stages,
The
the
honeymoon
honeymoon
stage.
stage, girl.
Like everything
Oh my
seems
God.
good. Yeah.
Yes, everything was good, and then maybe a month into knowing him, my dad died. Like just randomly, he was on his way to visit family in Kentucky, and basically we got the call that he was in emergency surgery, and basically he didn't make it. So
Yeah.
that was like my world, my best friend, my rock. Like me and my dad were tight. And life just kind of like trickled down after that. My abuser, he started to verbally abuse me, like say mean things to me. Whenever I would, cry and stuff, missing my dad, he would say, "There you go, crying again." Just it was a lot of emotional abuse, mental abuse, and then it started to get physical. Maybe I would say about 4 or 5 months in. Yeah.
So growing up, I mean, did you witness any abuse happen? Like, what was the love that you seen?
So I didn't see a healthy relationship with my parents, and he also didn't see a healthy relationship with his parents. And they say generational curses, and just stuff like that. Which a part of it, I did what I saw, and he did what he saw. like I said, my parents didn't have a good marriage, a good relationship, a lot of verbal abuse, mental abuse, and sometimes even physical. And I did, experience that and see that growing up as well as him.
What's interesting is that, sometimes, a lot of times, people that do go through this cycle of abuse, they do say that, they witnessed it
Yes.
in their household or
Yes.
with, somebody close and dear to them. So it is like that continuous cycle because you don't know how to
Absolutely.
break that curse, you know?
Yeah.
And I
And do
just
something different.
learn now,
Yeah.
it starts with me. I have to, I have to be able to break that. I have to be able to do things to stop that so I don't pass that down to, my children.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how long was you and your abuser together?
We were together about a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah, about a year and a half.
So from
not too long.
that time, you said 4 months into you all dating, things started to get a little bit rocky. When did you see or realize like things were progressing?
So, he had 2 kids, and I remember one incident. His kids were coming to visit him, and we were all getting ready to go out to eat or whatever. And he had this thing where I guess he didn't want me to see he didn't want his baby mom to see me, with him and the kids. And that started a big argument because I came outside when they were, swapping each other out or whatever. And he came back in the house, argued with me, and just straight punched me in my face. Yes. And at that point, I was just like, I knew it wasn't right. I knew, like, why would you even put your hands on me?
Right.
Why are you, why, just why or whatever. But, I chose to stay. I chose to forgive him. Oftentimes, he, showered me in gifts and stuff for, an apology and, tried to make it all bubbly again or whatever. But after that, things start to really trickle down. A year prior to him, to the last situation, we went to DC for his birthday, and we got into an altercation. Basically, I saw a girl text his phone, and I approached him about it, and he started to get real defensive and yelling and cussing, and he threw a chair at me that was in the hotel room. And I was like, you know what, that's it. I'm going back to Richmond, whatever. So I called a friend to see if they would come get me, and as we were walking downstairs to, get in the car to head back home, he closes the door and pulls off. So I'm standing outside the hotel, just, standing there with my luggage. He's gone. So he comes back around. I'm still texting my friend, like, trying to see, like, can you come get me? Trying to make some moves or whatever. And he sees that I'm texting. It was a male. He sees I'm texting a male, but he can see the thread. He sees what I'm saying, where I'm at, whatever.
Yeah.
And then he just flips shit. Ooh, I don't know.
You can.
Okay.
No, you
You good.
Yes, he flips shit. He starts to punch me. He is bashing my head into the window as he's driving. I mean, repeatedly hitting me. I'm trying to get out the car, like screaming and stuff, like to draw attention so somebody will help me. He closes the door, gets on the highway, goes like 90 miles per hour, slams on the brake, so I can hit the back of the seat or, whatever. Throws all my belongings on the highway, my book bag, my textbook. At that time, I was in school.
Yeah.
Threw everything on the highway. Got off the highway, back on the highway to show me my stuff that he threw on the highway, and then pulls off. And we head back to Richmond. He gets riled up again, pulls off, and then he gets out the car, snatches me out the car, and gets on my back and like drags me down into like a wooded area and basically says, I'll hit you with this car right now. Yes. Yes.
And so at this point, this is how many months after y'all been together? So this is like, getting.
So this is a
progressively-
rocky stage right here. This
Yeah.
is 2021, something like that. 2021, yeah.
But at this point, it's
This
been
is
like a year in.
Yeah,
to-
a year in. Yeah,
So it's
a
been
year.
progressing.
Yes.
Pretty much
Worse.
throughout the whole
Yes.
year. Something new.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was he older?
Yes, he was. We were 8 years apart.
And you know how there's like a cultural thing with male abusers being older than the female one. I don't know if y'all ever watch. I think it's the Kimber story. Yeah. So actually, I met her father. He's an accountant, man, cool, Mr. Gus.
Okay.
So
yeah, I have her book.
yeah. So she actually has a. It's on Amazon Prime, I believe. Have you watched it? Okay.
Actually, I have watched it. I watched clips of it.
Yeah. A little bit about her story, real quick, is that she went to Hampton. She was dating this guy in Hampton. He was older than her. She didn't know that he was a kingpin selling drugs, etc. She wound up finding out eventually because she kind of just walked downstairs and seen something that was happening. Once he noticed that she saw that moment, like he just became super controlling, abusive.
Yes.
Like he made her drop out of school, made her move from they was moving from state to state. She wound up getting pregnant.
Wow.
Wound up, she was gone from Richmond for months. When he eventually allowed her to go back home, because at first he told her like, "Oh nah, you're not going nowhere. Like you gonna stick it out with me."
Right.
He eventually allows her to go back home while she was pregnant. It was like, make sure you take care of my child. And as soon as she went home, cops done locked her up. Right. What was crazy about the story? This is like a spoiler alert, but I gotta say this. So what was crazy about the story, right? So the cops locked her up, but they tried to give her a deal, and they was like, pretty much if you let us know where he has been at or the different places y'all went, then we're gonna go ahead and get this guy, right? So this whole time she be trying to be a ride or die for this man that's abusing her, and we see this continuous cycle of domestic violence that women go through, and when the cops when she wound up telling the cops where he was at, because she was resistant at first, because she's trying to hold her man down. I had a baby with him, I've been dealing with this for some years now. I can do it. When she eventually said where he was at, the cops found out he died. Somebody murdered him, and she got sentenced to some crazy amount of years in jail. Needless to say, it was a lot that went on, but she wound up getting out. But she was in jail for some time. But it's just crazy that cycle where older guys really prey on younger girls because they feel like they're impressionable.
And it becomes really controlling. Was that a dynamic in your relationship where it was a lot of control?
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of controlling.
When you were in the relationship with him, did you notice you mentioned the emotional abuse that happened, and how did your relationships around you start getting impacted by your relationship with him?
What do you mean?
Like your friends, and did he try to keep you away from friends and family?
Yeah, so I remember for Thanksgiving one year, I wanted to go visit my sister, and he was just so resistant to it. Oh, I don't feel like going, and, just very nasty about it. And when I would want to go hang out with friends, he'll accuse me, oh, you're going to do such and such, or you're going to go sleep with somebody, or, it's always, just throwing shots and accusing me of stuff.
Yeah.
Very controlling. Yeah. Basically accusing me of things that at the end of the day he was doing.
And that's typically how it works.
Yes. Yes.
Dig on it.
So
Yes.
so the final straw, what happened prelude to, any kind of
final straw, leading up to, so he had a restraining order when we had the incident in DC. Therefore, he was not to have any contact with me for a whole year. But, we would still talk off and on. We would still see each other. I was still, we were still messing around just a little bit. But then it just came to a point where it was just I can't take this anymore. Just the craziness and the abuse just became just
overbearing.
Very overbearing. He had some belongings in my house, and I'm like, you have to get your stuff out of my house. I begged him to just please get your stuff. And eventually he came and got it, and he got mad and hit me upside my head with the bed slack. Yes. Everything was a fight. Everything was an argument. Everything was abusive, physical. It was a lot. And, I just told him, like, just, leave me alone. And, of course, he would call from block numbers and show up to my house and send me nasty messages and, of course, continue to accuse me of things, but also hit me with the, I love you, I'm sorry, can we please work this out, the manipulation and all of that.
Right.
And then the, like the final straw was basically, the last incident when he broke into my house.
Gotcha. So he was basically like stalking you for some time. Then he broke into your house.
Yes.
And then were you asleep or?
So me and my friend Will, we had just came back from hanging out with friends from a bar downtown.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and do you think, was he following you? You're not sure? He just kind of.
So I don't remember every single thing, but I know when I was back and forth in court, they were basically saying like they pinged his phone off of, a cell phone tower, and he was waiting outside of my house a couple of hours prior to me getting home. So basically he was stalking me.
You. Right.
Yeah.
Mm. So so now everything happens in the house, this traumatic event. You go to the hospital. Or who finds you?
So, do you want me to get into the story, or
whatever you felt comfortable with? Yeah.
Okay. So, came home that evening, getting ready for bed. I hear a big noise, and I look at my friend Will, and I'm like, what is that noise? What is that? We were both taking a shower, getting ready for bed. I get out the shower, and as I'm getting out the shower, he's coming in my bathroom door. He has one slipper on. He looks like he's high off of a drug or whatever, and he has a gun in his hand. I immediately start screaming. His words were, "Bitch, I'm going to kill you." And he said that repeatedly. He started shooting my friend Will, and he shot me in my knee, and I remember I dropped to the ground. He actually shot me 4 times, but I didn't. The initial gunfire was to my knee. That's the only thing that I felt. So he's continuing to shoot my friend, and my friend is grabbed me, and he's telling him, stop, stop. And he's just continuing to shoot. The gun got jammed, so he tried to load another magazine. That didn't work. So he snatched me down my steps and repeatedly said, bitch, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you. And he stabs me in my head multiple times and stabs me in my neck. So my neighbors, come to find out, my neighbors to the right of me or whatever, they heard because I lived in a townhouse, so they heard the gunshots and they called the police. So as he was stabbing me, like he had, he got on my back and was stabbing me, like my head was to the ground. I heard the ambulance and the sirens, and I said, just go, the police are coming. He literally stopped in the middle of stabbing me and ran out of my front door. So eventually I was able to turn over, and I tried to crawl up my wall to press my alarm button, but I couldn't get it, and I fell back to the ground. And so I crawled to my front door. I was able to pull myself up on the front door and walk outside and go to the neighbor to get help. And I remember the neighbor that called the police, they were saying, he ran away. And eventually, I collapsed to the ground, and, the police had to come, and they had to take a dying declaration because I was losing so much blood from everywhere. I coded in the ambulance.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, that was just the grace of God.
Yeah.
Literally, to see the Ring doorbell footage, it looks like an angel was carrying me. There's no way I was able to walk. I was shot in both legs and twice in my left arm.
Yeah.
Despite rising societal stressors, it's possible to take care of your well-being. Levels Mental Health provides compassionate care for those experiencing mental health challenges. Our holistic approach addresses anxiety, depression, behavior issues, and trauma, ensuring individuals feel understood. It's time for accessible mental health services for all. Visit levelsmentalhealth.com to learn more, schedule a consultation, or donate to expand outreach and support our community.
And for the gunshot to just get jammed, and that was literally nothing but the grace of God.
If that gun wouldn't have got jammed, I probably wouldn't be here.
So, you and Will were best friends.
Yes.
Gotcha. So then Will didn't survive the incident.
Right.
Rest in peace to Will.
Yes.
Condolences to his family.
Absolutely.
And to you.
Yes.
So now you get to the hospital. Who's supporting you at this time?
So I get to the hospital. Don't really remember anything after that because I was in a coma for a couple hours. They said I would be in a coma for a week, but I ended up waking up. I believe like a day and a half after that happened, and my sister and my mom were there to support me. I couldn't have any visitors because my situation was under investigation, so
Yeah.
no one could come see me. And I was in ICU for about 3 days.
I'm so sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah, traumatic.
Yes. So moving forward, once you return back home, like how are you feeling? I know you gotta go to court, so I'm sure it's real hectic.
So I was still waiting to have surgery on my left arm. I still had bullet fragments in it, and it was broken in 2 places. And the amount of pain I was in for 3 months. Like, it was some days I was just like, Lord, why didn't you take me? Like, that's how bad it was. On top of my mom was getting sick at the time. Come to find out, she had stage 4 lung cancer.
Wow.
So it was just, a big mess. Eventually, I got the surgery on my arm, and it took about 9 months for me to recover in and out of, occupational therapy and stuff like that. Back and forth in court for a year and a half. Harassment from him in prison.
So while you were going to court, you started writing your book.
Yes.
Okay. So what inspired you? Like, what made you say, you know what, I need to tell somebody this story. I need to speak out.
I remember I was sitting on the couch at my mom's house and just thinking about my friend Will, thinking about me, just still, in shock that somebody really broke into my house and literally stood in my face and shot me. And just thinking about, how much abuse I endured from this person for so long. I was just like, you know what? I just want to tell my story. I want to come up with a podcast. I want to write a book. And that's when I got the title for my book, I Will Survive. So Will, I got from my friend Will. And literally, I survived something so crazy that not a lot of people will survive.
Yeah. No, seriously.
Yeah.
So you started writing your book. Who were you speaking to? Like, who was processing with you during this time?
My sister.
Okay.
Yeah, she was a big help. My sister. She was a big help in it. She helped me, she took her time with me, helped me like process everything, told me like she would read some of my stuff and told me to spice it up here, add a little more there.
So it was just you and your sister, no editor?
So I did have an editor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did have an editor.
But she helped you.
Yes.
That's good. You had somebody that, bounce your ideas off.
Right.
So okay, you go through court, boom, sentence. That happens. Book drops when?
The book dropped October of 2021.
After court or during court?
During court.
During court.
Yes,
Okay.
it dropped during court. Because I was back and forth in court for a year and a half. Because that's when COVID was freshly new, and like sometimes he had ended up getting COVID, so he wasn't able to be transported to the courthouse, and it was just a lot of back and forth. He was trying to get a different lawyer and trying to plead not guilty, and just a lot of running in circles. And eventually, we finally got to sentencing, and they sentenced him life plus 66 years.
Well deserved, I said.
Very well deserved.
Seriously, well deserved.
Listen.
You had mentioned that even in this, he still tries to contact you.
Yeah, so the day my mother died, he called me from Chesterfield County Jail. Then he had someone text my phone and say, oh, he has some memory issues. He didn't mean to call you. If he didn't mean to call me, how he know my number? How did he know to dial my number?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It was just a lot of playing games and stuff. Maybe like a couple months after that, around the September, he sent me emails from prison saying, I'm sorry, I still love you. I wish we still had our kids. Please forgive me. Just saying the craziest stuff. Then after that, maybe like a year or two later, I got a call from an unknown number, and I contacted victim witness and let them know, like, somebody is calling me from a jail. And I kind of knew it was him, but still I wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that it was him. And yeah, so they transported him he's actually, from my knowledge, he's in prison in Florida. He called me from Florida prison. So at that point, I said, you know what, I'm about to change my number. I can't do this no more, even though I felt like, why do I have to change my number? Why do I have to, alter all these things in my life? But it was best for me to just get a new phone number and everything.
That's just like severe mental health for somebody to just keep on
calling.
doing
Yes.
that.
Yes.
And then once you change the number, you're not having those.
So no, I haven't had any, any weird activity, but leading up to that, even like with the internet and social media and stuff, like I had people sending me messages threatening to kill me, saying the meanest things, like making fake profiles, being William, my friend Will, like sending me messages.
So
Sick.
Oh my God.
Sick. It got to the point where like they would say mean things on the church website about me.
Wow.
Yes.
That's terrible.
Yes.
So, and all of this happening in your hometown, like right here.
Mm-hmm.
How does it feel when you come back?
I was actually just telling Crystal, like, maybe my incident happened maybe a couple lights down from where we are right now. So it's just like, I think about it, I relive the moment. I relive, just living here and everything. And it's a little, I'm not going to say scary, but definitely like, how can I put it? Like, it's uncomfortable, I would say. It's a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, that's a big reason why I moved away, just for a fresh start and to not have to watch my back and, tiptoe around and not be able to go certain places and stuff like that.
Yeah. So now that you have this fresh start, is there things that you notice that you don't like do or engage in because of the situation that happened? Like, for example, like being on social media or posting certain things like that?
So for a while, I stopped posting on social media because I was getting bullied so bad on there. Like, it really took a big toll on me. Like, I was scared to post anything. I was deactivating my pages and, stuff like that. I just recently started to be more active in social media, on the strength of I'm getting a lot of speaking engagements and stuff like that. So, I have to post my content. I have to, put myself out there to be heard and stuff. But prayer, just, praying through it all and stuff like that.
Yeah. What would you say to someone that's struggling to get out of any, domestic violence relationship?
I would say, the help is there. Talk to someone, say something, don't keep it to yourself. Oftentimes I wouldn't say anything because of embarrassment, going through a situation, then I go right back and, knowing that I wasn't supposed to go back. The embarrassment of it definitely keeps you silent, but say something because literally my life flashed before my eyes. I just knew, like, the initial gunshot to my knee, it was over.
Did you ever try to say anything to your friends or family?
So my mom, she knew a little bit. He had threw my things out one time, and I called my mom to, help me, get my belongings and stuff. So she knew a little bit. My sister, she knew bits and pieces and stuff like that. And, she would tell me to, I should leave this situation alone, but, still went back.
Yeah.
Thought that he loved me.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And it makes me think, too, because I know that, Greg just asked you what would you say to someone going through it, but would you have anything to say for people that are supporting people that are going through it?
What do you mean?
Like, if my sister is experiencing or living in a domestic violence situation, like, how can I support my sister?
How can you support your sister? Just, a person is not going to leave until they're ready. And I really had to live through that. Like, I had to make that decision on my own. You know, it's so easy for people to tell you, you know, get out, don't stay. Do you want to die? Do you want this person to do X, Y, and Z to you? But you really don't cease a situation until you're ready.
Yeah.
And that's just the end of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's like that in a lot of situations, you know, even outside of domestic violence.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, all types of
yeah,
things.
I
Like
mean, even
diet, food,
Yes.
whatever, name it.
smoking, cigarettes, stuff
Yes.
like,
Nobody stopped until they want to
Want
actually
to.
stop.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I do think that the shame comes from not being able to say this to you and then not feeling judged when I,
You know,
when
not knowing if
and
that
when-
friend is going to
Yeah,
turn their
like,
back towards.
exactly. So I'm gonna hide.
You're like, I can't do that. But
Right.
I don't know why is she doing that over there.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm gonna hide because, you know, I don't want to see it or I don't want anybody to know. And I think that yes, people can get help, but also it's really good if the community starts to change their thinking around it so that we can create safe spaces where people feel comfortable having conversations about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Even if they go back, to know that someone is consistently here, you know?
Yeah, I think that's important. So if you was to go back, I know you said earlier that you witnessed your parents, you know, struggling in their relationship. If you can go back to your younger self before experiencing what you experienced personally, what would you say?
I would, you know, spend more time knowing and figuring out who I am, you know, figuring out who Cerlisa is, figuring out what I like, what I don't like, you know, just spending more time with, you know, who I surround myself by, definitely spending more time with God and, you know, just pouring more into me and not wanting to have everything all together in a sense, you know, not wanting to feel like that where I am is not where I'm supposed to be or I'm supposed to be more ahead or, you know, things in that nature.
Yeah. It's important to, you know, reflect. And I think it's a good thing that you're going through therapy now. And, you
Absolutely.
know, continue that cycle for as long as you need. You need to, you know, you don't have to feel bad to be in therapy.
Absolutely.
You know, but it's important to be able to process those
And, you know,
traumatic
just
things.
the
And
coping mechanisms and stuff that I've learned and actually having someone sit down and not pick my brain, but, you know, ask me those questions that open up, you know, to different things that obviously that's internal that I need to release.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what's self-love to you today?
Self-love to me is reading, spending time in nature, journaling, just, you know, writing. You know, I do like mantras. Like I'll write, I have a mantra that I write for a week and I repeat it, and a lot of healthy self-talk.
Yeah. That's important.
So important.
So where are you at now? Like, how do you view relationships today? Do you like, you know, engage in that, or like, are you kind of like taking your time for yourself and waiting?
So I actually got married in December.
Oh, snap.
Yes.
Congratulations. I did not
Yes.
know that. Oh, so
Yes.
did people know? Did we just
No.
drop the bomb?
Y'all just
That's crazy.
Look, it's all right. We got some time for it to come out.
Yeah.
So
It's okay. It's okay. Yes,
that's congratulations.
Yes,
Yeah.
I recently just got married in December, and my partner is one of a kind. Very loving, very patient, very kind, especially like, you know, with my situation and just like how he handles me with the emotional aspect of everything that I go through. Like
Yeah.
the patience that you have to have, you know, especially, you know, for my situation, losing both parents at such a young age and, you know, being shot and stabbed,
Yeah.
it takes a lot. It takes a lot.
Well, first, congratulations.
Thank
again.
you.
And I think relationships after that type of trauma is really hard.
Yes.
So, like,
yes.
can you share? Because I feel like we should talk about this a bit. Love after this pain. What did that look like when you met your husband? And
Definitely it was, you know, knowing the intentions of people, not knowing, how are they going to act and how are they in this way? How are they going to treat me, regarding to this, and being able to actually open up about my life and what I've gone through to somebody, that can be heavy. That can be really heavy. Like, prior to me meeting him, I would converse with people and stuff like that. And I literally had one person say to me, I can't do this because I can't handle what you've gone through. Like, I can't handle the emotional aspect. And they knew, like, I would have my struggles,
Yeah.
I still have my struggles, and they just weren't equipped to being able to handle that.
Yeah. Was it hard allowing someone else to love you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just the fear of course, I still have, the thoughts of, what I've gone through, and just the thoughts of, is this person going to change and become abusive and stuff like that. But I had to unlearn those negative thoughts and unlearn those behaviors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy that you found love and that
Thank
you focusing on yourself and really just
Yeah.
being grounded in the things that you enjoy,
Absolutely.
and love to do. And
Absolutely.
it's just
Beautiful.
Staying
important.
grounded is key. Is
Yeah.
key.
But and I think that, like, a lot of times people that that experience domestic violence or in their relationships, it's not just one time. It's also very
Multiple
similar to
times.
like sexual assault victims. It's
Yeah.
not just one time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to hear stories of safety.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like where it is possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that women or men, people can find partners or just connections. And it's not just about that partnership, but it just reminds people that there's safety out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, as we, close out today's podcast. It sound like we on the couch. The couch have me comfortable. No, but no, as we close out today, well, one, I just want to say again, thank you for sharing,
course. Thank you for
what
having
you've been
me.
through, and just being vulnerable and sitting in this space. The whole world could potentially hear this, right?
Yes.
And just your grace and being able to come in and bless not only us in the room, but bless the people that will potentially hear this. And for women to know, like, you can go through this such traumatic event, but still experience love later on is very important.
Love for self, love with self, love with someone else. Like, it can be created.
Yeah, there's always beauty out of the struggle.
Absolutely.
So I think when we look at life in that aspect, in the positive aspect, then we can appreciate things a little bit more and then also feel better about ourselves.
So,
Yeah,
exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Is there anything like do you remember any of your mantras like verbatim or anything you want to say lastly?
So right now I'm writing just because it's not happening right now doesn't mean it's not going to happen. And I had to, say that to myself a lot, just like with everyday life, career life, moving forward in life, sometimes you get stagnant and feeling like, things are not moving or you're not making any progress. But, I just had to realize that just because it's not happening in this moment doesn't mean it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Now
Not to tell you, hold on one second, not to give you another book to write.
Listen.
But you could do a mantra book. You could do mantra cards.
So in the back of my book that I have now, I have like a journal with different affirmations and sayings that you can like write and stuff.
Yeah, build on it when you go to speaking engagements and women conferences. Bring them, get your little table, sell your product.
I do.
Good.
If you need some ideas, I got you. I won't charge you.
This is Idea Factory right here.
Yes.
They'll definitely give you some.
Very creative.
So before we drop where people can find your book, Women See Women.
Yes, so womenseewomen.org. You can also find my book on Amazon. And I also do like if you like DM me, I can also like mail you a copy, a signed copy.
Okay.
Yes.
Where would they DM you at?
You can DM me on Facebook, Instagram, or on my website. So my website is womenseewomen.org. My Instagram is Women See Women, and my Facebook is my first and last name, Cerlisa Collins.
Yes, awesome. And we'll make sure that we try to drop that so that y'all can pull it. And
Yes.
Women See Women is Women CEE.
CEE. Yes.
Women. All right.
Yes.
Shout out. All right. Well, thank you again, y'all. We appreciate y'all.
Thank you
See
so
y'all
much
later.
for having
Thank
me.
you.
Yes.
Thank you.